Hey guys, and welcome to Thea here. Today I'm going to bring you guys why Wildstar PVE is going to be so successful and why not only does it deserve your attention, but actually deserves your respect as well. So firstly, before we actually get started on the PVE side of things, as many of you know, if you followed the game for a long time, the developers have been absolutely key and instrumental into why the game is going to be such a good place come release. Firstly, it's their vision that's actually put the game in a great place. And they've also come to the community and asked, what do you guys think of this? What do you guys want? And that has been an absolutely amazing process throughout. Firstly, what I really like is that they've done dev speaks, they've done AMAs, they've gone really close to everyone on all social media, and on top of that, after release, they've confirmed 2 shows a week just on how the game's going and what they're going to look to improve, and also their views and their gaming experience as well, which is pretty awesome. And I think also for the first time, I feel comfortable having a great team work, because I think they've got ideas planned for a year ahead per month, releasing constant monthly updates. It's insane. Fantastic. So first and foremost, let's start off where PvE begins, the leveling process. Personally, getting level 1 to level 50 as quick as possible is exactly what I want to do. So however I'm going to do that, whether it's going with a group of 5 people, whether it's PvPing on the side, whether I'm going to spam dungeons or adventures, whatever it may be, I'm going to look through. If I can pick up the lore along the way, fantastic. If something can hold my attention for more than a few minutes, okay, great. But getting to level 50 for me is one of those things that I just do it and it's automatic. After years and years and years of gaming, it's the end game that interests me. But looking at the leveling itself, how did I feel when doing it through beta? It was very fluid. Even as a warrior, even when a lot of things took a very long time to kill at lower levels, it was very easy to do. It was very appealing. I found that there was a few challenges, a few mobs out there that were very hard, and it actually kept my interest going rather than just following dot to dot to dot or arrow to arrow to arrow, click here, do this. So when looking at lower level dungeons and adventures, as in the ones you do from level 15 all the way up to level 49, it really is an introduction to the whole premise of the game when it comes to PvE. The fact that they want it to be challenging, they want it to be difficult, they want you to play a certain type of way, and by this I mean they want you to do the basics correctly. Everyone already knows, or if you already have looked into Wildstar a lot, about the interrupt armor system, of where you have a certain number and you need to hit a certain amount of interrupts to stun or to interrupt a certain ability on trash mobs or on the bosses. And this can be difficult because it's coordination not just with you, but it's also coordination with your group and getting them in a timed and really manly fashion. The best examples I find is if you've seen all the footage of the level 21, so Calvarath and STL, which is the Storm Talon's lair, you really have a lot of people who are like, wow, this stuff is only level 20 and it's quite difficult. That's because previously on other games, and I'm not going to name any names or anything like that, but you'd find that they just made it a breeze. You know, it was very, very easy. It was just something to go through just to level up. Whereas here, you're not only having to really fight for the XP you're doing, but you're also fighting against time. Because if you wipe in a lot of pugs and so on and so forth whilst you're leveling, and you're at level 20 and you take 2 hours to do a dungeon, well, you probably could have just leveled up in a normal zone much faster than then. So it requires coordination, it requires things to be done properly, and that's what's a big really turn on about the lower level adventures and dungeons. Really like the idea, and I'll have more to go into on the veteran side of things, because the veterans just blow my mind away. They are awesome. What I find interesting about Wildstar is the fact that there's actually quite a lot of solo content. So if you're a solo player, it can really come into the fact that you like leveling by yourself, or you just like to do a lot of things by yourself, and they offer you kind of that content as well, which is it's quite nice. So one of the major ones that we have, which is kind of solo or can be anywhere between 1 and 5 people, almost like a dungeon, are the shiphand missions. And what they are, they're basically missions that you'll come across during your leveling process, and they normally take you off world from the planet Nexus. So they consist of quest lines which have optional side quests for extra credit, and it can take anywhere between, I think, 15 minutes and 45 minutes to complete, and between 1 and 5 players really. The missions, or ship hand missions, they scale to the amount of people that are in your group. So it's actually very interesting how it works, because it does spice up the kind of general lackluster leveling that you would go through in any type of MMO. Normally, I think the first ship hand is around about level 12, 13, at least for the Dominion. I'm sure it's the same for the Exiles as well. And it's something that's going to just provide a bit of a difference, a bit of a look away from the main planet, and maybe give you a bit of insight to the lore, which is just really awesome, to be honest. So I've hit level 50. Now what, you may ask? The next part of your quest along a journey going towards the raids for you and your guild is hitting those veteran adventures, veteran dungeons at level 50. So what are they, you may ask? Firstly, there is a raid attunement. So to get into the 20-man and 40-mans, you need to have actually... If you go to another of my videos, the raid attunements, which will be linked down below, you'll see the process in which you need to actually get attuned. Part of that attunement is actually to go and do all of the veteran adventures on silver mode. So this means, number one, what are veteran adventures? Veteran adventures are the adventures you've done before, put into a harder, more heroic mode at level 50. So the mobs are all tuned up to your level, and they're going to do more damage, they're going to do more abilities, the bosses are going to be hit harder, and so on and so forth. So they basically multiplied everything you can actually go through. What in turn means is that you get better loot if you do the instances well. So well enough. And that's where the classification system comes in. So bronze mode, silver mode, and gold mode. So every veteran adventure and veteran dungeon have different types of medals that you obviously receive. So if you do the adventures and dungeons quicker, so faster, clear everything much faster, kill everything faster, do all the optionals faster, without dying, you're more likely to get gold modes. Every single veteran adventure and dungeon have obviously slightly different variations depending between instances of what you can, and you will have to look that up because it will take quite a long time to explain that. But you need to be able to do all the silver modes in the veteran adventures first. And a bit of a tip, the veteran adventure actually, every veteran adventure gives you one piece of gear for your class and your spec in epic form. So what I would do is I would farm those again and again until I got that epic, because I'm trying to min-max my gear, my character, the best I can before I get into raiding. And then we have the really juicy part of the steak. We have veteran dungeons. The veteran dungeons is later on, and you need to get all veteran dungeons done in silver mode. Now this is difficult. Don't think about it, whether you're a top 20 player or a top 100 player, you need to get used to doing everything perfectly. So not dying, having really high DPS, having the gear to do it, because it's not just how well you play. My guild prepared actually did the hardest veteran dungeon on silver mode many times. And a lot of the times we were very close to the limit, which was, I think, 75 minutes. So in total, an hour and 15 minutes. And a lot of the times we were very close to that. And we've got gear that was actually from the raids as well. So it's not only about the amount you can DPS, it's about shaving off those seconds, not wiping, doing all the bosses correctly, knowing when to switch, being focused for nearly 2 hours worth of content. And that is the difficulty, because when you actually have gone from leveling to veteran adventures and then into veteran dungeons, you need the gear to really pull off those type of instances. So it's not going to happen straight away. If you went into veteran SSM at level 50 with the gear you've got, you're not going to do it. I don't care how good you are, you're not going to do it. At least from what we've seen from the beta so far. However, getting a whole thing of crafting gear and the best you can get from veteran adventures will bring you very close. Maybe you'd be able to even do it. To be ultra safe, I would get the best of crafting gear, the stuff you can do in veteran adventures, and everything else from the lower veteran dungeons. And therefore you'll be able to do the at least SSM veteran on silver mode. So you'll ask, why is it so good? Why is this content so amazing? Well, I'll tell you. The fact is that is it something that's come up before in other MMOs? Yes. However, in difficulty terms, no. You need to be good at this game. It's focusing on the hardcore. Does it mean that the hardcore players are the only ones that are ever going to complete it? No. It means that it's going to train you to be better, and that is the best thing about it. This game is obviously for people who have a higher skill cap, and if you are one of those people who want to be in a better guild, who want to train themselves to be better, these are the things to do with your friends, with other people, and get yourself into these things and know your class, and really dedicate yourself to improving. And that is a big turn on for the raiding community. Personally, you may say, okay, you find the veterans hard yourself. To me, actually, I don't. I've done them all. I've done them all on silver. I've done them all on gold. However, when looking at all these type of things together, I can see the difficulty in doing everything. It's just because I've had a much longer time in beta, been in it since November of last year, and I've gone through it all. When you instantly come to it and you haven't been 50, if you've stuck at level 20 or level 30 in the beta so far, you don't know what pleasures await you at level 50. And I don't mean that in any weird sense. It's just that good. And that's what something a lot of MMOs out there just don't have. It's the difficulty. For example, some games just give you loot. Here, level 50, here, take your items. Here's an event that will give you some best in slot gear. Like, here we go, PvE, just pushes something at your opponent just to make you feel better about your character, about you. Whereas in this game, you need to earn it. Just like anything, if you want something in real life, so you want a new computer, you want a new screen, you need to earn it. You need to go out there and earn the money, or I guess you could scrounge the money off people. But the point is that you're meant to do something yourself. You go out there and do it, you initialize it. And the same with this game. Veteran Adventures and Veteran Dungeons are really going to change how you feel about the endgame PvE. If you're one of these people who are very skeptical about the whole game itself, about what Wildstar has to offer, trust me, pay for the game for a month. So I don't even know if the after pre-order if this includes, but the 1 month of game time and the game, get yourself into the game, go past the leveling up, go into all those dungeons, and see like, okay, you know, I'm going to give this dungeons a go, and give them a go, and just have a look. Don't blame other pugs or anything else, just see what the difficulty is for yourself, and you'll be pleasantly surprised. It's going to be absolutely amazing. Furthermore, what's even better is that I actually managed to talk to some of the devs and ask them about their rally mode system. So the rally mode system currently isn't in the game, but it's actually one where it's almost making those veteran dungeons and veterans adventures like the challenge modes from World of Warcraft. So not as I have only in my head have they gone and made the challenge modes from World of Warcraft and times that probably about the difficulty of 4 or 5% percent at times, I would definitely say. They've also going to include the rally mode versions, which hopefully, if my understanding is correct from what they're saying, are going to offer better gear, better loot, harder experience, probably even some titles, probably like a leadership board or ranking stuff. They've got many things in which they're going to improve this and release more content to be fresh and active for people to actually go towards. Maybe they'll even include rewards like mounts, housing customization, which is a massive thing in this game. So they're using all the type of little facets from the game and improving content, which eventually will be much older than everything else, which is going to be amazing. They've already got that plan out, which is phenomenal. So you've gone through the raid attunement quests, you've done all the 12 bosses, you've done the veteran adventures, you've done the veteran dungeons on silver mode, and now you're trying to get into the best parts imaginable, which is of course the raids. Very simple. My first impression of the raids when I did them on the beta is the fact that the team Carbine actually liaised with all the raiding teams, all the people going into their TeamSpeak servers to make sure that they actually have a fluid raid and they get through it properly. And they took our advice. So this was too easy, this is too long, you know, this needs tweaking, is this really, you know, intended, and all the types of stuff. And they've improved it bit by bit by bit every single week. What was really impressive is that I remember probably about a month or more ago now, every single week they made every single boss harder and harder and harder. So we were completing the bosses because not only were we out gearing them, but we also knew everything about it. And then one week they changed everything, they boosted everything. And I remember Eugenic wiped, I think, 6 hours on the first boss. Enigma, which was the guild that I was raiding on, they wiped probably 2 hours or a bit more on the first boss, and that was just from a few tweaks. And that's the amazing thing, is that they've really just making the content harder, putting it to exactly where it needs to be. They're doing a lot of internal testing and external testing. So you may ask, what's the difference about the 20-mans? Obviously, everyone knows already about the telegraph systems. My initial thought, but even before I started Wildstar, was how much could you actually do with telegraphs? And now, my opinion is completely the other way around. It's like, what can't you do? Imagine if you've seen the Paxies content with all that kind of red stuff going everywhere, looking so disorganized like the first time you see it. But actually, you look at it close and you're like, okay, this is this boss's ability, this is what's happening to this person needs to do this, and this, because you've done it. You've gone through it. And that's just like anything. There's a learning curve. But it reintroduces the difficulty and the coordination needed to go and do these things. 40-man especially, personally I haven't been able to go, only closed beta testers have, or internal testing has, but from what I've heard, it's phenomenal. It's not like vanilla WoW, and I use vanilla WoW as a term because that's the only game I've ever done with 40-man raiding. You know, there's some parts of vanilla WoW which were absolutely amazing. So things like Nax, so you go on to things like 4 Horsemen, you know, 40-man, most difficult fight probably ever there ever was in a 40-man content. And then you have the other side of things. You probably have like other 40-man content, which is very easy. You stand there. It wasn't even patchwork. 20 people can AFK and win. This is very, very different. This is 40-man, hard as you can get. Everyone surviving, doing the boss properly, and doing the tactics right. And the best thing about it, it's fair. You know, you die for a specific reason. If you stand in red shit, you're dead. It was your fault from standing in that red shit in the first place. You know what I mean? If you avoid the red shit, you do all the tactics right, you do your rotation right, you stand where you need to be, successful. Awesome. Well done. So that means now that not only is it easier for us raid leaders than seeing like, oh, someone's taken damage, you know, from this ability X, but you can also see, well, they've taken this damage from this ability X. You can see where they're dead. You even have things like the Wildstar logs website, you know, from the Warcraft logs website, and you can ask them very simply, "What have you done here?" Take them into a private chat, and everyone knows what they're doing. Okay, I need to not actually get killed by this ability. Do you understand this ability? Yes. So everything is very, very simple. It's a very logical process. When World of Warcraft, a lot of people would just die. At least I found in many previous expansions from God knows what, from stuff that they've done 15 times already and haven't had a problem, and then they've just died. Whereas in this, you get into a rotation of doing it correctly, and you've mastered it, you know, and you need to keep on doing that. If you stand in DPS for too long, you get killed. If you're in the wrong position at the start, you'll get killed. So all these different mechanics are teaching you and teaching the people around you to how to play properly, and that's the bit that really gets me, is that I've had enough of people who do LFR baby type of content, you know, and now give me some proper ones. And this is what's going to be amazing, is that so many people who've come from World of Warcraft, and I use World of Warcraft because that's what I know, they're going to come into this game, they're either going to judge it early like Kripparrian did, no offense, but you don't know what you're on about, mate. Wildstar is so much better than, you know, any World of Warcraft type of experience there is going to be. If it's going to be half as successful as in the long run, the actual term of the game that's been out, the PVE side, the raiding side is going to be twice as successful, just because of how it is. Devi from Paragon's already said that he wished the Paragon was going to it. He absolutely loves it. He's wiped so many times in the level 20 instance, let alone going to the veteran dungeons, let alone going into the raids. But back to what I was saying anyway, all those people who got very comfortable with doing the LFR are now going to have a shock. They now have to not only have a learning curve how to play properly again, but they also have to learn how to get back into doing the best they can mechanically for a game that's very, very different, that requires a lot of skill, that's very different in regards to Telegraph and knowing where to stand and changing your mind and thinking, you know, from what it was in World of Warcraft to thinking, okay, is my position correct? Am I where I need to be? What's coming next? What do I have to do? And that subtle changes is very, very different, because you've got to realize that if the stuff you're thinking about before any of these skills come up is a thing that kills you, then you need to change that. Whereas in World of Warcraft, you could be anywhere on a type of map, and pretty much survive. Or you know already where certain red spots are going to be from a boss or whatever, or places you can stand, and you don't need to do anything. Whereas in this game, it's random. You don't know what the fuck is going to go on, excuse my French, but a lot of the things are very random. You have some things at different timers, and you have some mechanics that you have to do and you know what to do, but it's the positioning and forethought and advanced thinking that gets you through, just like a chess game. If you think 5 moves ahead compared to someone who thinks 10 moves ahead, the person who thinks 10 moves ahead is going to be the better raider, simply because he or she knows where to stand, what to do, and how to beat the mechanic and put it into rotation much faster than you do. And that's the thing about this game. It's really, really awesome, and I can't wait, and my guild actually can't wait until we start, because there's nothing been like it before. But alas, there are things that do gripe me. Firstly, the path system. They've approached it saying that they wanted something that was very unique. However, what they've done is they've introduced something that's unique, but has no experience in the elder game. You get to 50 and then it's lackluster. They said they're going to change it post-launch, but if it's one of their main selling points by saying, we've got this amazing path system, we've got something that's going to help you, it only helps you sometimes during leveling. In fact, doing soldier path is pretty ridiculous. However, I want to do it because it's not necessarily I want to roleplay or anything with my warrior, but because it just seems to suit, and that's kind of my gameplay. I want to do something along the way of questing, kill it, but I don't get any XP for it. And apart from that, what else do? I don't get anything, except for a recall, which it's not even a recall, it just goes back to the closest town I was with. So, it needs to be done, so they're going to change that soon. They've already said, I think it's 2 months in, or 3 months in, that they're going to introduce changes to paths. And the other thing they need to develop is, obviously, constant changes to the balancing of the classes. Many of you know, if you've watched the forum stuff, the only forum of the classes that don't bitch about where they are the warriors. I've got to say that, because everyone else is complaining about the slightest nerf. For example, I'll take the Stalkers. The Stalkers recently got the tiniest nerf I've ever seen, which was like something to one of their main abilities by a tiny bit. And same with the Engineers. Engineers had their electrocute shortened slightly and the width taken in slightly, but an increase in DPS. And they're complaining. I'm sorry, but shut the fuck up. Really, you don't have a bloody clue. If you look at it from a level 20 or level 30 area, then you have no idea of level 50 at all. Don't even come to the equation. If you have no clue what it's like at level 50, shut up, go back into your box, and wait until you get to level 50. If you don't like what they've done, as in their class leads and everything like that, then don't play the bloody game. Honestly, don't play the game. But what they are going to do is they're going to continuously upgrade it. For example, the Espers, the class leads come out and said that he wanted to change things. He wanted to change the way that the mechanics worked. And currently, the Spell Slingers, at least from the ones I've heard in my guild, is that the actual difficulty of the class has been dumbed down so much, it's so stupid, they don't want to play it anymore, because what made them do amazingly, they can't do anymore. Well, I don't know what that kind of reaction is from, the class lead to see, but those two classes worry me a bit. They're range DPS, they're light armor, and they're meant to be some of the best classes for people who want to play things like mages, who want to play things like warlocks, or any other thing from any other game, MMOs. They're kind of the range DPS classes. So that concerns me a bit. But as long as you have class leads who give a crap, for example, like the Esper class lead, then that comes into thinking, well, actually, they do know what they're doing, and they are looking to improve things bit by bit. Now, my final point of everything to do with the PvE side of the things and why it all sums up to be amazing is that it's not your run-of-the-mill anymore. Everything from Wrath of the Lich King World of Warcraft, every MMO that has been released since that point has failed because of X and Y and Z. A lot of you people have been in them, and you've lost the confidence in other companies developing or bringing out games that are of total difference. You know what I mean? Like, I got sucked into it with Star Wars. I thought Star Wars was going to be amazing. I left in Dragon Soul because I knew Star Wars was going to be amazing. Played it. The PvE was so bad that I got world number ones and then left the week afterwards, I think. And then I didn't go back to World of Warcraft because I didn't like where the raiding was. I wanted something more difficult. However, now,
with Wildstar coming up, I can imagine paying twice the amount per month. If the rating is so much better than anything I've ever experienced, why wouldn't I? Because I love that type of side, you know? And on top of that, it teaches people to play properly. If you're a gamer who likes difficult content, and I don't mean just say, oh, I would have played something that's a bit more difficult, but you're actually one of the persons who's like, look, the stuff I've been doing is too easy, I want to step it up, I want to try something new, then Wildstar is where it's at. Honestly, give it a go. Maybe they'll even release some 7-day tickets for you, and you'll be able to play around with a friend's account for a while in the PvE. It's something that's going to change the game. It may even be the very last subscription-based game. But if it's going to last 5 to 10 years, then let it go down in history for being one of the best, because it is. It's absolutely amazing what they're trying to do. And I haven't even touched anything about the PvP side, the customization side, or anything about the graphics. And this is just strictly on the PvE. So why is it going to be so successful with the PvE side? Everything I've already said is that it's not just linear. It's also expansive as well. You go into all these points and it engrosses you in. Wildstar is one of the only things where I could log on, for example, and have anything to do. I had all the gear on 2 characters level 50 of raids, but I still wanted, even in the beta, to go and test things out in veterans, in dungeons, to see if I could shave off any time, to see if I could teach people how to be better on this, or this. You know what I mean? So that's something that is all engrossing. It's absolutely amazing. I've got to give my hats off to it. It deserves your attention. If you work weekly and you get your paycheck weekly, or you work monthly, whatever, get the money, get into Wildstar. You're not going to regret it. And if you're a PvP freak or love PvP, that side is unrivaled. It will be absolutely amazing. You'll love it. Alright guys, Theo logging off. Thank you very much for watching this video. There'll be more to come from me. And always, cheers for watching. Keep up the support, and feel free to leave a comment and maybe even like the video or just subscribe to me. Alright, cheers. Thank you.